What's up, everyone? Thanks so much for joining my Hatha Yoga YouTube channel. Today's practice is a yin style practice focused on slowing down. We are going to start in Shavasana, so I'll meet you there when you're ready. We're also going to practice legs up the wall today, so if you have a little wall space that's accessible to you, you might want to set up near that. I will meet you in the middle of your mat when you're ready. All right, so we're gonna start in Shavasana today instead of ending there. And we're gonna theme today's practice or set an intention of slowing down. So most of the poses are gonna be yin yoga poses with longer style holds, and then we'll have some Hatha and other movement transitions in between those poses. So as you settle into Shavasana, you can feel free to grab a pillow for under your head or neck if that feels good. Coming down onto your back, starting to feel those connections with the earth or with your mat. Starting to notice the quality of your breath. And checking in with the physical body, the intellectual body, the emotional body, and the spiritual body. So just starting to notice and take inventory of how you are, how you're feeling. Yin yoga and yin style yoga is really about that connection to the breath. So start to deepen that connection now. Maybe setting an intention for your practice today or choosing a mantra. As I mentioned, today's practice is about slowing down. So you might frame your perspective around that. Slowing down is a key component to learning and building and practicing mindfulness. So I like to use the mantra, be here now. That perspective should help you connect with the present moment in this body, in this mind. Not lingering in the past, not exploring the future. Just relishing and being present in this exact moment. We're going to start really slowly, just to set the pace for today's practice. So take your time settling in here, turn inward. Allow your nervous system to start to calm down, slowing your heart rate, letting go of anything that's distracting you. And just always coming back to the sound of the breath, the sensations of the breath. creating this space for ourselves just to really slow down. Easing into the practice and moving mindfully in transition. Try to find stillness in the body, but also in the mind. Take as much time in this pose as you need to settle the mind and body, to find union with the breath, and to find this present moment. When you get to that point of stillness and quiet, you might start to gently bat the eyes open if they're closed. Notice the connection of your body to the earth. Bring your awareness to your toes and fingertips. Moving gently through the body, just noticing. We're going to move into our first pose of today's practice whenever you feel ready. I have not taught this pose in this class before, But the pose is legs up the wall, and it is what it sounds like. So when you're ready to start incorporating movement, we're just going to move from Shavasana to a really similar position against the wall. You start by coming up to sitting, finding an empty wall space near you where you can reasonably extend your legs from your hips on the floor upwards toward the ceiling. So check around the room, see if you have a space for that. If not, you can stay in Shavasana or any other easy resting pose that feels right to open your practice. If you do find that wall space, we're just going to scoot the hips as close as you can toward the wall. It's going to require some maneuvering. Take your time getting there. We'll come onto the back, and you'll probably have a little more scooting to do. So if you want to put a pad or a pillow under your hips to facilitate that, please feel free. Otherwise, take your time getting there. You want to bring hips up to the wall, so you should feel the connection to both the floor and the wall. With legs fully extended at the knee, straight up toward the ceiling. You can keep your feet together or hip width apart, whatever feels right. And you can rest your hands anywhere on the body or open them up left to right, whatever feels good. And once again, we're going to settle into stillness in this pose. So take your time to reconnect with the breath. Notice what you feel in the physical body. Finding stillness in the intellectual and emotional bodies. Maybe checking in with the spiritual body, whatever that means to you. So reconnect with the breath. Notice the quality of your inhales and the fullness of your exhale. Notice what's distracting you, if anything. Notice what is pulling you away from the present moment, if anything. If you did notice something, if you do have a little mind chatter going on, let's name it and let it go without judgment. Just coming back to the sound of the breath. And the connection of the physical body to the earth. Just giving the body time for rest, recovery, and improved circulation. This pose is really good for recovery, especially if you spend a lot of time on your feet, whether you're using it as part of a yoga practice or not. We will go through another couple of movements today that are not yoga poses, but are good for mobility, recovery, just alleviating stiffness and connecting with the body. Let's take a few more cycles of breath just to turn inward, find that quiet, find that stillness. Watching your thoughts pass like clouds in the sky without attachment. Once again, you can gently bat the eyes open if they're closed. Maybe wiggle your toes a little bit. Notice the sensations of your phalanges, peripheral appendages here, hands, feet, legs, arms. Just noticing, reconnecting with the breath. To move out of this pose, really you can do it however is easy and accessible according to the room and the space around you. I'm going to start just by bending into my knees, bringing my knees together. You can bring your hands to your knees if you want to just compress the front of the hip flexors before we move. And then we'll just roll over to the side, pressing up onto the side body, onto that left hip. And find your place in the center of your mat. We're going to come onto hands and knees here and press your toes into the mat behind your knees. Making sure you can press through all 10 toes. You can look back, you can use your hands. You really just want to facilitate that connection between all of the toes and the ball of both feet onto the mat. So just pressing through there, noticing what you feel, maybe rocking gently left to right. And then walking the hands up toward the knees, Lifting the knees off the mat. And once again, just coming onto a little toe stand here. So you're just pressing into all 10 toes and through the balls of the feet. Just stretching the feet in ways that we probably don't normally. Checking in with all of those connective tissues. Noticing your flow of energy and sensation through the feet. If you want to practice a hold, you can release your hands from the mat and bring palms together at the heart. It's really challenging that ankle strength and mobility. Pressing through the toes. Finding a fixed focal point on the floor. Finding stillness in the mind and body. If that's way too intense, you can release your hands or keep your hands on the floor. Just rocking through the toes, through the ankles, through the feet. From here, we will widen our stance. So coming into a yogi squat. So you can hold a squat here, bringing elbows to the inside of the knees, palms together at the heart. If you just want to find your center, check in with the hips, and that external rotation, find stillness. But you can also keep your hands or fingertips on the mat here and just roll left to right, moving through the ankles, noticing any limitations there, noticing if you're having trouble keeping your heels on the floor. That could be an indication of a need for more ankle mobility training. But otherwise, just checking in. And whatever you're noticing without judgment. Rolling through this squat and ankle mobility. Take your time here. This is just the transition into a standing forward fold. So if you feel great about it, you're ready to move on. You can bring the hands or the palms to the mat. Extend fully through the knees, coming all the way up to full extension there. And then bringing the feet to about hip width apart, toes facing forward or slightly away from each other here, whatever feels right. And we're just gonna dangle. So you can make that look however you want. You can just let your hands relax on the mat. If that's totally inaccessible to you, you can keep your hands up on the knees or on the shins or on a yoga block in front of you. If you don't need a prop or modification, just let the head, the neck, the shoulders relax. Letting your arms dangle. You could clasp opposite elbows with opposite hands. You might sway gently left to right if it feels good. But typically in yin yoga, you'd be doing a static hold. So just finding stillness in this pose. Checking in with another change of perspective. Finding your way to this present moment. Feeling what you feel, noticing what you feel. And just seeking that union between ease and effort. Notice the quality of your breath here. Taking this time to slow down. Letting your thoughts pass like leaves on a river. noticing what's distracting you and allowing yourself to let that go. If you have very high blood pressure or feel dizzy in this pose, take breaks just by coming back into that squat. Otherwise, just settle into the standing forward fold with a few more cycles of breath. Take this time to turn inward. Quiet the mind, observe. You can release the hands back to the mat if they're not already there. We're going to come back into that squat and roll through the ankles and toes one more time so you can walk the feet a little bit wider, letting the toes point away from each other, lowering the hips down to the mat or near the mat, elbows on the inside of the knees, hands come together, prayer hands in at the front of the heart space. I can't talk. So take another minute here, roll through the ankles and hips. Notice what you feel and where. Notice what's different, if anything. And when you feel good about it, release the hips all the way to the mat. Send the legs out in front. And we're going to do the seated version of the pose that we just did. So we're going to do the same thing with legs on the ground this time. A lot of these poses are really similar, just changing perspectives, changing planes. So with your legs straight out in front, let's come into a nice long seated posture from the crown of the head to the tip of the tail. Reconnect with the breath, shoulders back. We'll bring the palms in front of the heart space, facing one another, and then send the fingertips up toward the sky or toward the ceiling. Getting really long through the torso, and then hinging forward at the hips, folding forward. Imagine the hands going beyond the feet, and allowing them to land wherever they land. You can bring your hands to the outside of your feet or to the outside of the shins with your palms upward. Just not forcing anything. Not concerned with the shape that you're taking. Just finding a good set of sensations that you can sustain for 3 to 5 minutes. Once again, reconnecting with the breath, finding stillness in the body and mind. Reminding your body that it's okay to relax. This is your practice. You are in control. Reconnecting with the breath. Noticing what you feel and where. Feel free to close your eyes if it feels good at any point during the practice. Breathing deep into the sensations of the body, all the way down the back, through the hamstrings, into the hips. Reconnecting with your mantra, or coming back to the sound of the breath if you start to get distracted. Gently start opening the eyes if they're closed. Noticing this change of perspective before we slowly transition up to sitting. So we'll get there by first planting the tailbone, planting the sits bones, pressing down through the lumbar spine, slowly curling up through the thoracic spine. Finding that nice spinal alignment that we started with, but moving as slowly as possible. So moving with intention. When you find that nice seated posture, shoulders back, neck is long, reconnect with the breath. And in our transition, let's just bring the palms to the outside edge of either hip. You can bring the feet a little closer together for staff pose. Very similar to legs up the wall, just in a different plane. So from this staff pose, we're just going to incorporate a little spinal twist, release some of that potential energy in the spinal column. And we'll do that first by bringing that left hand around and behind us, planting it behind the tailbone, bringing the right hand to the outside edge of the left thigh or left knee, and then just lifting and twisting, pulling that left shoulder back. Nice deep breath. And on your exhale, we'll bring it back through center and do the same thing on the other side. So left hand comes to the outside edge of the right knee, right thigh. Right hand comes around behind you. Plant the fingertips or the palm. Pull that right shoulder back. Maybe looking over the right shoulder. Nice big inhale. And on your exhale, we'll slowly bring it back through center. Always moving as slowly as you can. Really slowing things down for a mindfulness practice. From here, we're going to come into an extended child's pose. So take your time getting there. I'm going to get there by bending into both knees and coming into a cross-legged seat. And then rolling forward onto all fours. We'll bring the big toes into touch. Coming down onto the tops of the feet, and then opening the knees wide, sending the hips back toward the heels, and then bringing the chest, forehead down to the mat, and walking with fingertips forward. Just anchoring yourself to the heels, but nice and passive here as you settle in. Reconnecting with the breath, breathing deep into the hips. Remind your body it's okay to relax. Maybe use your next exhale to let go of what's not serving you. Whatever distracts you from this present moment, let's notice it, name it, and let it go. If you feel the sensations of this pose are way too intense to hold for 3 to 5 minutes, you can bring the knees closer together. You can also take a traditional child's pose here if that's more accessible. Notice if you're tensing or holding anywhere. And remind your body to relax. Notice the quality of your breath. Stay connected to the breath as your prana, your life force, your energy, is a key component of yin yoga poses. Spend as much time as you'd like in this pose. Remember, it's your practice. Make it your own. When you're ready to transition out of this pose, you might start by gently opening the eyes if they're closed. Before you move, just bringing your awareness to the fingertips, to the fingers, to the hands, to the toes, to the feet. Just noticing. And then gently pressing into the fingertips to lift the forehead. Walking the fingertips toward the body. Slowly, gently, mindfully, like you're moving through water. And then bringing the knees together. We'll rest on the shins for just a second as we come back up to the seated posture. And we'll incorporate another spinal twist from here. So once again, just bringing that right hand to the outside of the left knee, left thigh, and swimming that left hand around behind you, planting that left hand, left fingertips, sitting up, lifting and twisting. Maybe looking over that left shoulder. Connecting with the breath. And on your exhale, release for the second side. Bringing the right fingertips around and behind us this time. Pulling that right shoulder back, maybe looking over it. Gently release on your exhale, coming back through center and before we transition to the next pose, we're going to do a little ankle stretch if it's accessible. So start by bringing your right hand to the top of the right thigh, left fingertips curve around the front of the left knee, and then press into that right thigh and then pull that left knee up toward the chest. Just sending some energy through the front of the left ankle. Checking in there, noticing what you feel. Take as much time on this side as you'd like. Release when you're ready, and then we'll switch to the second side. So let your left hand come up to the top of the left thigh, right fingertips slide down to the front of the right knee, and then we'll bend into that right elbow, pulling that right knee up toward the chest, engaging the front of the right ankle, checking in with that connective tissue. Releasing some of that myofascia that builds up overnight. Staying connected to the breath. You can release that right knee when you're ready. We're going to come forward onto the palms and then transition into a downward dog. So pressing the palms into the mat under the shoulders. We'll curl the toes under, press through all 10 toes, and then lift the hips toward the ceiling, extending fully through the knees, bringing the heels toward the floor, looking for that flat back shape. However, if you can't do that with your knees at full extension, that's totally fine. Just bend into the knees slightly and be aware that you may be tight in the hamstrings. Otherwise, just checking in here. We're using this downward dog as a transition to our pigeon pose, or what we call sleeping swan, Indian yoga. So, bring your gaze to between the palms. Let's plant that left foot near the center of the mat. We'll slide the right leg up for three-legged dog. Bend into that right knee. And then we're going to guide that right knee up and through the palms, coming down onto the outside edge of that right thigh, extending that left knee behind you. Feel free to grab a block or a pillow if you need that to support your forehead here. Check in with the degree of flexion in that right knee. We're going to hold this pose for a while. So if the sensation is really intense in the upright version, just bring your right heel closer to the hips, closer to the body. Square your shoulders over that front knee or front shin if you have it open. And we'll gently fold forward, coming down onto maybe stacked fists or stacked palms, or just bringing your forehead down to the mat. Nice and long through that left leg, square through the hips. Connect with the breath. Make sure that you're not tensing or holding anywhere, particularly in like the glutes or the feet or the face. Just relaxing everything. Being present in the sensations of the body. Quieting the mind. Settling in without judgment or self-criticism. Reminding the body it's okay to relax.
Take your time settling in, turning inward, finding quiet. If you're unable to find stillness in the body or the mind, notice what's distracting from that. Observe it, recognize it, let it go. Reconnect with the breath. And just listen to the sound of the breath like waves crashing on the beach. Spend as much time as you'd like in this pose. You can stay here longer or prepare to transition to the second side. We're going to work in reverse order here, starting by opening the eyes, noticing the hands and the feet. Press into the palms to come back up to that seated version of this pose. Reconnect with the breath. Notice what you feel and where. I'm going to lean forward slightly to put our weight back on the palms. Curl the left toes under, pressing into all 5 toes. Lift that left knee off the mat. We'll extend through that right leg, planting the right foot next to the left, coming back into your downward dog. Feel free to take a break here. Check in with the body. Notice what you feel. And when you're ready, we'll move that right foot somewhere near the midline of the mat. We'll slide that left foot all the way up toward the ceiling for 3-legged dog. Bend into that left knee and then guide that left knee all the way up and through to between the palms, coming down to the outside edge of the left hip. Extending fully through that right knee. Finding that nice seated posture first and then folding forward on your second side, stacking the palms or the fists or putting a yoga block or pillow under your forehead. Adjusting that degree of flexion in the knee if you need to. Otherwise, settling in, staying square through the hips so you're not rolling over to the left side. Reconnecting with the breath. This will be your final pose before your closing meditation. So check in with the body and the mind. Notice what's different, if anything. Try to maintain that nice, slow, steady pace. That presence, that mindfulness, that connection to the here and now. Linger and enjoy this quiet space that you've created for yourself. And if you can't control the noise around you, remember that you can control the noise within you. We start by noticing. We start by being mindful. We start being mindful by slowing down. Allow your body to take a few more quiet moments to relax, to just be. You can stay in this pose as long as you need to. Listen to your body and your mind, give them what they need. If you're ready to transition out, we'll start by opening the eyes, checking in with the fingertips and the toes, moving slowly, pressing the fingers into the mat and then the palms, slowly extending through the elbows, keeping that nice, strong pigeon pose base. Reconnecting with the breath and that spinal alignment. And then as we transition out, we're just going to bring that right knee forward, bending into that right knee, wrapping it around the left, coming into a comfortable cross-legged seat. And this is going to be our final meditative pose for the day. So I'm going to start you off and then close the practice. Feel free to stay in this pose and in your meditation as long as you like. If you want to grab a pillow for under your hips, that could be a good move. At any rate, start to settle in. Notice the connections of the body to the earth, the sits bones, the ankles. Notice the quality of your breath and your spinal alignment. Notice if you feel different from the beginning of the practice, or if you're able to slow down. And if any of my cues worked for helping you slow down during this practice, feel free to make them your own and practice slowing down all day, all week, maybe all year. The more you slow down, the more resilient and connected you become. And ironically, the more productive you become, if that's your goal.
Checking in with the quality of your breath, the state of your physical, intellectual, emotional, and spiritual bodies. Checking in with that spinal alignment. Reconnecting with the breath. I'm going to start to close this practice by doing a quick land acknowledgement. I am leading this practice from unceded Monongahela and Osage lands in what is now known as Western Pennsylvania. I encourage you to find out whose indigenous lands you are practicing on and how you can support their ongoing struggles for liberation. I'm going to bring my palms together at the heart space to close this practice. And I'll start by recognizing that yoga is an ancient spiritual practice coming from the subcontinent of India and Indian culture. So we recognize and honor that heritage without appropriation. We also recognize that yoga functions in many ways for many different people of the world today, including as a community. I thank you so much for being part of my community today. I hope you got something you needed here today, and I hope to see you again soon. Namaste.